The Chris Bosh disrespect needs to stop. The Chris Bosh disrespect needs to stop. It is embarrassing. Like, why are we looking at so many things that are absolutely embarrassing right now in basketball? Why are we looking at all of these type of things? Because I'm just sitting there like, what is going on? I'm just looking around and I'm seeing just awful basketball take after awful basketball take. We've seen Nico Harrison. Like, can people, like, podcast mics? I'm sorry, whatever Nico Harrison, at least he's not gone to podcast. But, like, the podcast mics, like, is an epidemic. People need to know to stop just saying stuff when podcast mics are in there. Like, when they get a podcast mic in their hands, they will say literally anything. Literally anything. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Rich Paul, obviously LeBron's agent, says Wade, Bosh, and LeBron wasn't a big three. When you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a backseat and played a role. But don't act like y'all don't get what he's saying. Big three, but only two cook. Wade had about a year and a half where he was good when LeBron was there. Yes, 2011, Wade was unbelievable. But, like, there's only one basketball. Chris Bosh is one of the greatest third options to ever play. And we saw that, by the way, in Chris Bosh having a near MVP or all NBA caliber season when LeBron left. Remember when LeBron left? Who was the standout player for Chris Bosh? Or sorry, for Chris Bosh, the Heat. Chris Bosh. They were projected to make the Eastern Conference Finals after making the Dragic trade before he had ended up with blood clots. They were then projected to be the second seed in the Eastern Conference the following year before he had to retire from a second pulmonary embolism. Like, Chris Bosh chose to be a third option. He chose to be the third option. And by the way, by 2013, he was the second option. Like, I want to show you guys what Dwayne Wade did in the 2013 playoffs game log. I just want to see his game log. Because Dwayne Wade was so garbage in the 2013 playoffs. He was so garbage. Like, by the way, Bosh made huge plays, but Bosh wasn't great in those either. I have to admit that. Bosh was not great. But in the 2012 playoffs, Bosh was spectacular. So obviously, you're looking at Dwayne Wade here in some of these games. In 2011, obviously, he was brilliant. You're looking at, I don't know why I can't scroll to the side here much more, but you're looking at some of these games. Obviously, you're looking points, 30 in 2012. You're looking in 2013, and you're looking here. So Dwayne Wade had one game against the Spurs where he was fantastic. He had 32. 17, 10, 16, 25, 14. He had 23. But, like, is this plus minus? Minus 11, minus 29, 5, minus 6, minus 15, minus 2. And then in 2014, geez, he was like a shell of himself in 2014. To be fair, his points actually don't look as bad as I remember for Miami, to be fair. But, like, he wasn't the same player. For the last two seasons of the Big Three, you might, if you're arguing it's a Big Two, Chris Bosh was in the Big Two. It was LeBron. Like, it was LeBron and everybody else for those Miami teams. And Chris Bosh obviously took a backseat. And that's fine. It's fine. You can take a backseat in these scenarios. But what did Chris Bosh do? He averaged okay numbers, but he learned to shoot the three ball. He started spreading the floor. He allowed LeBron to be LeBron. Like, we live in a world where Draymond Green is talking his way to a Defensive Player of the Year, whereas we had Chris Bosh, who had never played center in his life, become a small ball center. Yes, I don't think Chris Bosh was that good that first year in comparison to, like, how he ended up becoming. But Chris Bosh adapted into being one of the best third options. If Kevin Love was a quarter of the player Chris Bosh was, Cleveland win multiple rings in Cleveland. Chris Bosh was genuinely, like, his ability to spread the floor. He was like the first true stretch five that could play. Like, yeah, we had Matt Bonner, Ryan Anderson. They weren't really fives. But like maybe Bill Laimbeer in the 80s. But Bosh set some decent screens. He was a good rebounder. Heck, he got the most important rebound of LeBron's career. He also, by the way, he blocked the shot so that Danny Green couldn't tie the game at the end of that game. Chris Bosh hit big shots. He made big plays. And you know what? The biggest thing was he was fine with having a diminishing role on the stat sheet as long as he became the glue. He was the glue that kept Miami together. Like, Miami, not that they were good when LeBron wasn't there, but they could survive when LeBron wasn't there. When Chris Bosh was on the floor, this team did not look like it functioned. Like, Chris Bosh was so important. And it's so annoying that we live in a world now where we know the importance of a player like a Chris Bosh. That you can't just look at the stat sheet to tell his importance. But we look back on it. We look back 10 years and start stat sheet reading. It's so annoying from LeBron James' agent, who knows how important Chris Bosh was to LeBron winning multiple rings. And trying to erase LeBron's agent, trying to throw Chris Bosh under the bus. If you want to say, I mean, the Miami Heat was a big three. It was a really big three. But by the end of the 2 seasons, it was LeBron. And it was a big three, but it wasn't as expected because Dwayne Wade's knees were struggling. And then Bosh obviously became the third option. And it became really LeBron and then 2 really good players and not a big three like it was expected to be with 3 superstars. You can make that argument that, there's more of an argument that Dwayne Wade's regressed than Chris Bosh regressed. Chris Bosh has played a role. Chris Bosh genuinely just played a role, and he did it better than anyone in the NBA right now. So, yeah, it's a really, really interesting one. And I'm going to be honest, like, it's really frustrating seeing it from Rich Paul, who's LeBron's agent, because Chris Bosh was a big reason why, like, he won 2 rings in Miami. And it reminds me of the Steve Nash stuff, where it's like, we were there at the time. We all know what Chris Bosh did. And by the way, year and a half, a bit iffy. Those last 2 years of the big three, it was if you want to argue it's a big two, that big two was LeBron and Bosh. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it, lads. That is pretty much it. But, yeah, frustrating day when talking about the NBA. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Obviously, I've been gone quite a bit. I haven't been uploading too many videos. Like, in the last month, I think I have uploaded like 7 or 8 videos. I'll be back to 3 a day for the entirety of the playoffs. I'm going back. I'm locking in again. Once the playoffs start. I've taken it handy for a couple of days. I'll lock him back in once the NBA playoffs start, lads. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. And at least I got so annoyed at this. As a Miami Heat fan, I got so annoyed at this that I had to make a video, because Miami still have 1 ring if it wasn't for Chris Bosh. Like, Chris Bosh might be maybe the 7th best player in the history of the Miami Heat. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.